Hey, what's up, guys? It's Joe here, and I'm gonna make this part two of the Road to Greatness. Um, this is the Monarch version. I know I haven't yet. Like, this is weird. This is gonna come up first, and then I'm gonna probably do my Monarch deck profile in the same day. But this is the Road to Greatness part two, the Monarch version. I'm gonna show you guys, all you Monarch players out there. I'm gonna show you guys some tips and tricks on how to sideboard a little more, just proactively, a little better, having a board plan just to go up against the meta game and when you're using your Monarch deck. Now, I'm actually, excuse me about that. I'm actually waiting on the cards to complete extra deck Monarchs to come in the mail. I know, failfish. This isn't the best way to play Monarch anymore. The domain version, but I actually still like the domain deck. I play it a lot. I've played it as well at a lot of tournaments. Actually, the first local, when I got back into playing, I was just going up there every week and borrowing cards from everybody, and this was like always the deck that everybody always just had sitting around the trade binder. And this deck blew me away when I first saw it. I was like, what the hell is this? This deck is broken. And I put it all to, like, I started stringing the combos together just without ever seeing the deck play out. So this deck doesn't have an extremely high skill cap, but side decking in this deck, I see this done wrong so many times because not a lot of people know how to side deck, and they haven't identified the cards that they should be cutting immediately. So we're gonna go back to our high priority, mid, and low priority piles, and I'm gonna show you guys just sort of the way in which I side deck in the deck. So starting it off here, here's our high priority pile. Not everybody plays these two cards in their Monarch deck. These can be easily switched out for like Brilliant Fusion if you're playing the Brilliant Monarch decks. Can be switched out for the blue layer and teleports and all that kind of stuff. Just depending on the matchup you're going up against. If you want how many cards you want to dead out of your opponent, or just how proactive and intuitive you want to be. But if you're playing Domain Monarchs, if you're playing the Frostblast variant, or you're playing the Reasoning variant, or you're playing them both like I am, I love this card. It gives you a loaded graveyard. It's very free. But for any case, and you'll see the in the deck profile. I'm not playing like a really standard version. I was trying out Angmarl, the Fiendish Monarch, just to go and tutor for like Twin Twisters and like Pantheisms and Domains and Stormforce and such. It wasn't great. It was just something I was testing out. I was like, this card's broken. It just tutors spells, but it turns out it's not. But anyway, off that little tangent, back to the point of the video. These are the cards that in pretty much every matchup always come out. Foolish Burial is one of those that just kind of like in my last video, kind of how Yaksha was. This card, and so, for some reason my like light just died, but anyway, kind of like how Yaksha was. This is the card that it's a variable card. You can just kind of switch it back and forth, back into the deck. It's in the high priority pile. It's the one card that you can kind of not cut at all times. I always go down one idea because I play 3. I always go down to Mithra. I play 2. I always usually am cutting this card unless the matchup like just calls for it, like Klee. I don't cut this versus Klee, but I always cut usually these 5 cards. And this you bet your ass this card always comes out. It's only good game 1, and it's just not great in any other scenario. So this is my high priority card pile, and this is my mid pile. I'm usually always, just depending on the matchup, boarding. I main Twin Twisters in this deck, and as you can see, these are different sleeves, but I'm really lazy about switching sleeves, like I said in my first deck profile video. I usually board these out versus like the Mirror, or like just like non-floodgate decks, or just non-backer decks, just usually combo decks. These aren't that great against, and if you're boarding into better cards anyway, you're not going to miss your Twin Twisters. I board out a Maxi. I actually don't own 3 Maxi. I'm waiting for my other 2 to come in the mail. So to be continued on that. I usually board out an Erebus a lot. I've actually boarded out Aether a few times, just one. But I found out that was very wrong. So this guy is actually pretty easy to board out when you're not playing against certain matchups. I always board Scolding out if I'm not going up against like the Mirror or Cosmo. this card just isn't good in most matchups. It's really good when they don't know you have it. You can catch them off guard and you can like ensure a play resolves, but usually it's not that great. I usually board down one prime because I play three. Depending on the matchup, like this card just does nothing versus Clee, so there's just no point in having it in. It'd just be another tribute. And if I'm going down Monarchs, I always go down a return. I play three, and a lot of the times board out a domain because it's just an easily cuttable card. You have three anyway, and you're not. And against a lot of decks, you're just not gonna lock them out of their extra deck, or it's just not gonna matter that you lock them out of their extra deck because they just don't really care. So this is my mid priority pal, and this is just the rest of the deck, right? So I guess I can like flash through and like show you what's happening here, but oh, this card should be in the mid priority pal actually. Sorry about that. Usually, I don't really fancy boarding Thesty out because of Erebos and Thesty. If you can get them both off turn one, you just take so many resources away from your opponent that it's just not even like it's hilarious how many times you just like resolve Erebus, take a card out of the hand, and then like back it up by sacking this for a Thesty after like a Myther plus Eidos play. And you just get to look at their hand and just take like the Clifford Scout or like the best card out of their hand or whatnot like that before they can even play the game. And a lot of times that just forces them to scoop. They just have to fold to that. So that's a pretty big deal. And this is usually why I don't board this card out because it's like a built-in just like confiscation, right? It's just hand disruption that's just really 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 good. So I don't usually board this out. And plus my Eidos are focus. They're German. This guy is. Wait, I think I'm getting it. There we go. It's a Hexer der Unterwelt Nape. Well, it was there for a second. Anyway, beyond that, here is the side deck that I'm running with, and there is an Imperial Iron Wall that is jumping out of sleeves. It's one Majesty's Fiend, one Kai's Mega Monarch. This card blows the mirror match the fuck away. If you've never played with this card, if you resolve this effect versus the mirror, you can just completely lock them out of the game because you can just eat all their Erebuses, or you can just like, hell, even when you just get like a regular, just random like card from them, this card is really sick. So I actually love Mega Kais. I used to main deck it, and then I discovered that Mega Thestalos was real, so that quickly got switched. But this card is actually the next level of powerful. So I actually really like Mega Caius. Jinzo because I hate back row decks. Yes, from my Cosmo deck, my same little Kaiju engine. This card comes at a greater cost in this deck because you don't have things that are bigger than it, unless you have domain. Like it requires you to have cards in order to out it. So really be careful with this big 33 beat stick dude. If I had another Gamma Seal, I'd probably have two Gamma Seals in this version. And string Kaiju. So yeah, that's a thing. An Interrupted Slumber, like I said, my obligatory 6 Kaiju cards. I play 2 Curse Seal the Forbidden Spell. I'm not an architect of this design. This is from my friend at the shop, Lackey. This is his idea. I don't know if this was a big deal or this caught on or anything like that, but this completely breaks the mirror match in half. You just hit Stormforth and that's it. The mirror match is won. Eradicator, this card, I feel like everybody should be side decking this in Monarch by now. You should pretty much never board out your Erebuses at the time that you're bringing this card in, but Eradicator and Spells and Monarch mirror match completed. Or Eradicator and Spells and, Fire King matchup completed. Fire King Cosmo, that is. Or, Traps and Clee matchup completed. Achievement unlocked. 2 Iron Walls for Cosmo and for, just other random decks. You just flip this card last after you've won off. You just flip this card and you win. And a warning. I was actually on the fence about boarding this at first, but switching this out with Scolding is pretty hot. And this gives you so much game. Like, just these cards here completely hose the Pendulum deck. This doesn't do anything to Pendulum, I found out, but this completely hoses the Pendulum deck. You just spells and they lose. Like they just like you just bust their Pendulum scales while they're already active, and then you just this just does so much. And warning, I really did not respect the power level of warning until I started side decking this card and switching it out with Scolding or switching it out with the Burial and like having access to where the hell it is. having Scolding plus Warning. If you set both of these cards at the same time, you cannot lose that game. I just like having this and a Monarch loaded in the trigger, like an Aether loaded in the trigger. You have to flip this first, obviously, but you flip this and then you have Scolding to back your play. But yes, you just paid 5,000 life points, but who the hell cares? You just won the game. So that's been like just really working out for me. And like I said in my last video, going into a tournament or an event, knowing exactly what you're going to side deck, when you're going to side deck it out, why you're side decking it out, for what matchup, for what reason, what purpose, that is a lot of power that you have. Because you even if you're side decking suboptimally, just knowing exactly what you're doing going into what matchup is so much game in any metagame, in any tournament, in any format. No matter how long the game goes, no matter how long you play the game, you having the knowledge of how to sideboard versus X matchup and why is so much more important than just having the best cards or having the best deck. It's always important to play what you're comfortable with and what you have the most fun with, and the decks that you have, just you just have the most skill in. You know, whatever you have practiced the most, that's usually what you should take to an event. I wouldn't go into any event blind with Cosmo because I just wouldn't. I mean that you're going to lose a lot of games just having the lack of knowledge of the deck. So I've practiced it and I've tested it and I've learned the deck, and like I said, I just don't see enough people talking about just how to side deck and just how to at that angle of improving in the game. I don't see enough people, you know, making videos about that. So this is just something that I feel like the public should know. And another thing to be on the lookout for me is the stages of the game. That is something I've never seen anybody explain in any card game I've ever played. Is just stage 1 through 3 of the game and how those are important and how to identify those, because this is how the pros beat us, the normies, the regular people. This is how the pros become the pros. It's because they identify this and they top every event because of it. They know what stage of the game that they're playing in at what time and how to progress their game state to stage 1 or stage 2 or stage 3 of the game. They know how to progress past the early stages and get to stage 3 of the game while you're still stuck in stage 1. So be on the lookout for that from me, guys. That's going to be something I'm going to be talking about here soon. If you have any questions, please just drop a comment down below. I'm glad to talk, chat. I'll respond to every comment. I will always be on the lookout for the video. And I'm always down to learn the game more. I'm always down to, if you feel like what I've said is incorrect, please, you know, come in, discuss it with me on, you know, just freely and open, and I will gladly sit down and have any conversation about, you know, the game, because I love the game. I love playing. I love, you know, getting into the theory about, you know, side decking, the theory about, you know, how many cards should be in your deck and, you know, how many cards you should be maining and siding and blah 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 for X matchup. I love that portion of the game because it takes a lot of skill to side deck properly. So it's been your boy Ijo Ujo. Like I said before, drop a comment, leave a like, subscribe, leave a dislike if you didn't like, because any feedback is good feedback, because it lets me know what I need to do in order to progress. So it's been your boy Ijo Ujo. Peace.